1993 till date, 23 Ramanathan lectures are held.
This call is now being recorded.
And 22 Ramanathan lectures are held physically, all the Ramanathan lectures are held in Kolkata, but the last 23rd Ramanathan lecture, and this is the second instance, we organize these two lectures not physically, because you all know nowadays due to arose of COVID-19 in the year 2020, all physical assemblies, rather physical meetings, conferences are restricted by government, and due to outbreak of COVID, we are semi home to hold all other meetings and like that. So YESDIG also decided to organize this lecture through virtual mode, and this is the second instance. We are organizing here the 24th Ramanathan lecture through virtual mode, perhaps through Google Meet. We assembled through Google Meet from different places of India. I am sitting in Kolkata, our speakers sitting in other place, and all others linked together. So welcome you all. In today's Ramanathan lecture's context is why we need more public libraries in India. The subject or topic of is very relevant in today's context, as per my belief. When we discuss about Ramanathan, when we discuss about libraries, our first concern is many libraries we know many libraries are there, but public libraries is our main concern. But as per my belief, it is the most untouched, or it is the most unimportant in nowadays. So in that context, when our speaker, I also forget to name the speaker. Today's speaker is Dr. P.R. Goswami. When we invite P.R. Goswami to invite this to deliver this lecture on any topic, he suggested a topic like this, and we accepted, and we also welcome this today's lecture on this topic. It is very relevant to today's context. Actually, P.R. Goswami is very associated with YESDIG. He was in the Ministry of Culture as Director of Libraries. He was in National Social Science Documentation as Director. He was in Indira Gandhi National Center for Art as Director of Library and Information. So he's very much relevant in library science profession, and he worked in many capacities throughout many organizations. So such a person is very, very welcome in today's Ramanathan Memorial Lecture. We have also honored him in many ways. In the last year, we have honored Dr. P.R. Goswami as the retired librarian of the year. So he is, sir, welcome you, Dr. Goswami, sir. But unfortunately, today's program will be presided over by Mr. K.K. Banerjee. It is circulated in our card or in our flyer, but he fell sick. Actually, he was tested positive, and he was suggested by his doctor to stay isolated. So in place of Mr. K.K. Banerjee, former director Raja Rammohn Library Foundation, today's program will be presided over by Professor Amitabh Chatterjee. He is our very relevant. He is our very associated with YESDIG. He is presently editor of YESDIG's newsletter. He was also delivered the Ramanathan Memorial Lecture, I think, in the year 2007. So he will preside over today's program. I welcome you, sir, Professor Chatterjee. So again, I welcome all with speaker Dr. P.R. Goswami, Chairman Dr. Professor Amitabh Chatterjee, and other YESDIG members who assembled here, who linked together to hear this program. Welcome you all. Thank you, sir. I hand over the mic to Professor Chatterjee. Sir, Professor Chatterjee.
Sir, please unmute. Sir, you are muted, sir.
Honorable Professor Lata, President YESDIG, Vice President Dr. Krishnapal Goswami, other colleagues. I'm very happy to see that many people have already joined this particular lecture, and I hope that many more will join gradually. Now, the topic as I've seen that why do you need more public libraries in India? And it is related to Ranganathan very much, I feel, because Ranganathan, in whose memory this lecture is being given, as far as I know, he never served as a librarian of any public library. But after having seen the library system in UK, he was very much impressed. He realized that this is necessary for our country also, because people here, they also need this type of system. That is why he tried his best to set up such a system, but I'm doubtful whether that system at all come up, in spite of his best efforts. And he also knew that if you really want a very good system, you need some legal backing. Otherwise, it will be difficult to establish a system like this, because that legal backing is needed for proper functioning and also for funding, etc. And he drafted almost 14 or 16, I don't remember exactly now, drafted the bills in different states, including the princely states, and he was also instrumental in having that first Public Libraries Act enacted in then Madras state, now it is Tamil Nadu. So I feel that in this context, this is a very good topic that Dr. Goswami has chosen, and I feel that he will be able to give you many pressing reasons why we require more public libraries in India. So I now request Dr. Goswami to deliver his address.
Thank you, Professor Chatterjee, and good afternoon to all senior professionals who are present here. Many of them are many years senior to me, like Dr. Banerjee and Professor Chatterjee, Dr. Majumdar, and of course the president of YASLIC, Professor Lakar. So I am really, it is a great privilege for any library professional to deliver the S.R. Ranganathan, Dr. S.R. Ranganathan Memorial Lecture, that too organized by the YASLIC, which is one of the foremost library association in the country. And I am immensely grateful to the organizers of this lecture for giving me this opportunity. Now, as narrated by Professor Chatterjee, Dr. Ranganathan's contribution in the field of libraries, public libraries, and other library development is enormous. And since I am not a contemporary of Dr. Ranganathan, when I entered the Library Science School in Delhi University in 1977, whatever I have read about Dr. Ranganathan or heard about Dr. Ranganathan from my teachers was a part of our academic courses. And of course, from various journals, periodicals, newsletters, and recently what I saw in Times Literary Supplement, there is a reference to Dr. Ranganathan, who said that you cannot delimit the universe of knowledge within the confines of a classification scheme. And so his forceful argument was that he devised a synthetic analytical classification, which has the provision of incorporating the universe of subject from its very many dimensions. So that was one of his contributions. And other contribution, what I want to highlight here, a very general one. I believe that Mahatma Gandhi made the independence struggle against the British a mass movement, which was earlier confined to some of the elite intellectuals of India, mostly the Oxbridge people who have studied in Oxford and Cambridge University. But after arrival of Mahatma Gandhi from South Africa, independence struggle became a mass movement. Similarly, when Ranganathan entered the profession in that 1924 at the age of 31, and he was the person who relentlessly fought for this profession and did lot of work for the advancement of the profession. And as a result, the profession was recognized in this country. And as I know, for the first time, an academician from the St. Stephen's College, Professor S. Dasgupta, was appointed as the librarian of Delhi University. It was the effort of Dr. S.R. Ranganathan, and that tradition to provide academic recognition to the library professionals is still continuing. And we are very, very happy to see that most of the university librarians in the country are in the professor's grade. That was one of the contribution of Dr. Ranganathan. And if you go by the academically, I think the Prolegomena to Library classification, which I consider a difficult book, but it was the base of his classification scheme. Theoretically, it is very sound, this colon classification, because of the Prolegomena to Library classification. But Prolegomena to Library classification was released in 1937, whereas the Clodal classification was released in 1933. So he developed the theory of classification after he devised the first edition of CC, colon classification. And the 5 laws of library science is well known. I think that most of the non-library professionals are also familiar with this law. And whenever I attend any library conference, most of the high-profile chief guests talk about the 5 laws of library science. And classified catalog code, I think that classified catalog code is known to many of us, but not all of us, because nowadays I don't think it is taught in the library science schools. But one of the contribution of the classified catalog code is that you can derive the chain indexing, the index from the class number. And that was adopted by the British National Bibliography for many years to derive subject indexing system. And these are, apart from these, as narrated by Professor Chatterjee, Professor Ranganathan wrote many books on many aspects of librarianship, including reference service and the model public library, library administration, book selection. And I remember even in Ratan Tata Library, his 3-card system was used regularly for the periodical management. And if you see his book on reference service is a special book in the sense that it has been written in a colloquial term, because a reference librarian is talking to a user and a user talking to the reference librarian. So it is a sort of an anticipatory dialogue which can occur between a library user and the librarian. In that mode, he had written that book. And it is a unique book. It's a very thick book. And we are asked to read it when we are in the MLibSC course. So these are some of the contribution. And in his book on library manual, Dr. Ranganathan has outlined what are the different functions of a public library. Very cogently, very articulately, he had said that a public library's major objectives are facility for lifelong education, provision of up-to-date source of information for all, balanced collection development, preservation of our cultural and literary heritage, and to provide opportunity to all citizens for fruitful utilization of leisure time. So this is, if you analyze the same set of activities, objectives are still adopted by the public library, but these have changed. I think next year, 2022, will complete the 50 years after death of Ranganathan, because he expired in 1972. I think the library profession should introspect what has changed during these 50 years and try to rebuild their plans and programs and objectives in the perspective of what has happened during the past 50 years. Many things have happened. Many new things have come up. Many old things have been given up also. That is true. Now, coming to the public libraries of India, the title I have given is Why We Need Public Libraries. And I believe public library not a preferred areas of study or research among the library professionals, because there are many other lucrative opportunities, particularly in the academic sector. And a librarian in IIT, they're well paid, well dressed, and also well behaved, I believe. But in public library, if you see the entire gamut of the public library scenario, and you find that it is not a preferred area where research is undertaken, where the students prefer to go. I think they don't prefer to go to any public library for their job. And secondly, the most important thing is the public library, though it is considered to be an indicator of national development by the Ministry of Culture, the actual what public library can do for the society, that vision is too limited among the policymakers. Because I was just trying to ascertain how a public library has been defined by the government. If you search their reports, their annual reports, the Planning Commission has come up with a document called the Strategy for the 75. That is, what will happen after 75 years of Indian independence. They have mentioned no mention about the public libraries, but there is only one document, that is the Village and Town Directory of Census of India 2011, where you can see what a public library is. The most limited description they have given is where the books are given and books are lent out and books are read by the readers. So this is the only definition that shows that the policymakers have a very limited vision of the public library. Now, I would like to mention here that the Ministry of Culture, according to the Government of India's Allocation of Business Rule 1961, amended version, is written in the first line, the library policy development is one of their major works assigned to them. And the funding agencies include corporate bodies have also shown interest in the development of this sector under the CSR rule. If you see the websites of ONGC, Airport Authority of India, National NTPC, you will find they have given lot of money for the development of the public libraries and reading room in the countries. And I would like to define here the public library from the viewpoint of an economist. Libraries are considered as merit goods by economists. Just previous one, Mr. Saha, yes. By economists as well as by the development planners, merit goods have special merits, but they might be produced in insufficient quantity if left to private hands. So merit goods, the society feel their need, but in general, if it is given to the private hands, it will be produced in a very limited quality. This is the qualification of a merit good. Libraries, archives, and museums are state subject according to the 7th schedule of the Constitution of India. This is one of the pleas, or you can say the alibi taken by the government, that it is a state subject. So we have a very limited responsibility. But just I was going through the 7th schedule of the Constitution of India and the difference between a state subject and union subject. The only difference is if it belongs to state subject, then you cannot pass a legislation on the library development. This is the only limitation. Otherwise, if you see the financial rule of the Government of India, there is a grant in aid. There is a provision where central government can provide grant to any public libraries, any kind of library development project, whether it is situated in a central administered territory or in a state. So there is no restriction. Next, please. Now, what about the data about public libraries? Data regarding the total number of public libraries in the country is not available. Indian statistical system does not consider public library as an indicator for socio-economic development. Only a few sample surveys, mostly sponsored by the RRRLF, has been conducted, but unit level data collected under establishment survey or economic census can be culled out to get an estimate. What is a public library? Definition is needed to conduct a census or a survey. So this was also discussed in the RRLF meeting. So when you collect data about public libraries, what is a library? How do you define it? Anybody who is keeping a library at his residence or keeping a library for students with 2 almirahs, is it a public library? Or 3 almirahs? What are the parameters according to which a collection or an establishment can be qualified as a public library? Unless you define that, you cannot do any survey or any census. But still, what I can say is there are two important sources, that is establishment survey under the Census of India and enterprise survey under economic census. Economic census is conducted every 5 years, where all the economic establishment, any establishment which provides employment to the people, you can get an estimate. And an estimate can become a baseline data for conducting an all India survey or a census. So this part is missing in India. Next one, please. Next one. Now the main argument in my paper is, in my presentation, is why we need public libraries. Public libraries, why we need, I want to emphasize on that. I would also emphasize the present public libraries, which are only numerically present, because when you count an establishment in the government, in the state government ledgers, they have written that this is a public library. Whether it functions or not, whether it remains closed most of the time, whether it has a staff or not, that is not considered. This is only a numerical evidence in the ledger book of the state government or in a directory, very old directory, the name is mentioned, so they take, yes, there is a public library in this country. That does not suffice. It is a very limited understanding. But public libraries are needed for the local community due to the changing social and cultural condition in the country. The society is becoming more equal. Rural-urban divide is fast disappearing. Literacy, education promote entrepreneurship at the local level. And the new program has been started, which is called Transformation of Aspirational Districts. 115 districts have been identified. So I want to just highlight some of these things. Why we need public library, and what changes in the socio-cultural environment that has occurred during the past 15 to 20 years, on the basis of which we can argue that we need more public library. Now, the development planners normally view public libraries as a form of social infrastructure, which are basically meant for expanding the capability of our citizens. This is very important, because what is capability? Capability is, number 1, literacy. Number 2, entrepreneurship. Number 3, economic activity. Number 4, how you can get information about employment, about education, sitting in a rural area, in a very backward village. So these are the capability enhancement. Unfortunately, now if you know the NAPLIS report, National Policy on Library Information Science, again prepared under the guidance or under the instruction of the RRLF, it said libraries work in isolation. The main problem with the library is the limited activity and their isolated existence. Any development activities which is happening in the region the libraries are isolated. It is only viewed as a place where you can read some magazines, you can read some books, you can borrow some books, you can return the books, and some sort of a recreational reading space. That is the impression of a public library we have in the country. But now what has happened is during the past 15 to 20 years, the ambition of the people living in the rural areas and the urban areas, they have become the same. You must have heard about one sociologist, Professor Dipankar Gupta of Jawaharlal Nehru University. He had delivered a lecture in ICSSR. He said, every village boy wants to learn computer and English, because these are the two skills they want to have, because they can qualify to work in the service sector. Service sector means in West Bengal, you know, there is a booming tourism sector. I have been told that in my district of Purulia, there is a Ajodhya Pahad, there are a number of resorts which are always full. So if you want to qualify in the service, want to work in the service sector, you have to be a very presentable personality. You have to have the English speaking skill, and you have to data entry skill. These are the 2-3 things which are very important. And a public library can easily train the people in these 2-3 basic skills, and they can play a very important role in the development of the people who are deprived of this opportunity. Secondly, the private libraries are for local people, local community. Now, what is local community? Local community means local language, local customs, and local, you can say, educational standard. Local educational standard in the sense you have to design the library according to the aspiration, according to the capability, according to the needs, and according to the abilities of the people you serve. It should not be a dictatorial attitude that you are just imposing something on them. You are selecting some books from the center and sending them to the public library at a village. Nobody will read them unless you do a proper community survey. So this is my second argument. Now, the government has always says there should be evidence-based policy making. Evidence-based policy making means it is called data analytics, you might be knowing. In the educational institution, they try to collect the data of the students, try to analyze the data, and try to reframe their educational programs according to the needs of the student. Similarly, in the evidence-based policy making, the government is saying, it is in the Planning Commission report is written, that you have to have a policy making apparatus which really thinks about the ground level reality, what is happening in the ground. So a library planning in a place, in a village in West Bengal must be different from a village in Bihar, where keeping in view their education background, their needs, their educational standard also, it should not be uniform. But the basic structure of a public library as defined by the IFLA, Public Library Manifesto, could be the same. But out of that, you have to build your own annexures or own additions so that you can serve the people of the public library in a better way. Secondly, I want to come to another very important point. India is considered as the world's largest democracy. At least on paper, it is the largest democracy, and their democratic rights are assured to the people. A functioning large-scale democracy relies on a well-informed public. The Western democracies like the USA believe that public libraries, discussion groups, and book clubs have helped to spread literacy, culture beyond intellectual elite class, And it has been claimed that African Americans reduced their adult illiteracy from 93% to 23% during the period 1865 to 1920. So during this 55 years period, closing years of the 19th century and the beginning years of the 20th century, this led to the abolition of slavery in USA. So this is one of the examples given by a very renowned author. The existing public libraries, if you go to a public library, there are very, very difficult financial rules. They have accumulated lots of obsolete and irrelevant material. They are to be transformed to suit the local communities and to create opportunities for the youth and the marginalized groups, including women and children. So you can't do anything with these obsolete books. So our teachers in the Faculty of Management Studies, when I have worked for 15 years, they used to say, if there are 10 books, if out of the 10, 8 are irrelevant, 2 are good, the benefits of the two books are hidden in the shelf, so you cannot retrieve them readily. So this has become very true in case of the public library. Due to the archaic financial rule of the state government, you cannot weed out the old books. I think this needs to be looked into by the government policymakers. Now, I don't know about Calcutta, but I am talking from my experience in the Delhi. When I travel by metro, 1 year back, because now I am not traveling due to COVID, I saw at many places there is a board written library. So after a long discussion with my friends, after a close observation, I found that many people from the underdeveloped states like Bihar, Eastern UP, MP are coming to Delhi to seeking employment opportunity. And they are preparing for some sort of competitive examination. It could be a Delhi Police Constable. It could be a Staff Selection Commission clerk grade, assistant grade, or the higher, if you go to the higher in the echelon of the society, it could be the IAS. Therefore, they need a good reading space where they can study peacefully. And I have found it true in my case also. If you go and study in a library where many people are reading, you find that you should also read with concentration. Whereas at home, it doesn't happen always. There's a lot of distraction here, there, a lot of TV programs. So that thing is very important in a public library, that it provides a reading space to the youth. And youth population, that age group of 18 to 35, constitute 65% of our census population, of our population. So that is the most important group of people. Secondly, there is another aspect I want to highlight, is the skill development center. As I have said, that skill development, particularly learning English language and the data entry skill, are very important. And even the surveys have said that getting a general stream BA or MA degree from a state university don't make you employable. And it is very correct. I have seen that whenever I have come across many people, I have seen that it is correct that a general BA degree or MA degree from a very ordinary state university, that too written in a vernacular language, because in many states, the education is now imparted either in Hindi or maybe in Calcutta, it is in Bengali, West Bengal, I don't know. So their capacity to learn the relevant things which can make them employable is very low. So I think libraries can develop them as a skill development center and provide a opportunity to the youth so that they become employable. So this is one of the major contribution a public library can make. And when I delivering this lecture, I can assert it, I can state emphatically that what I mean by why do we mean by public libraries, why we need smart and small public libraries. Smart and small means smart collection, small in size, comfortable to read, comfortable to relax and read, and also to learn certain new things. Next one, please. Now, yes, please. Now, public library is an information facilitator. This is very important in the sense, I am just quoting from an article which appeared in World Development. It is a very renowned journal, interdisciplinary journal. It is not exactly a social science journal. It is a development-oriented journal. World Development, volume 125, January 2020. They have made a survey of systematic review of 48 empirical studies on the impact of information on governance and service delivery. What impact information service can provide in the governance and the service delivery system of the local people. And they have found the information alone is insufficient to improve rural governance and service delivery. Information alone, you are providing information, very happy. I have provided this information to the people, and this people, I know this information is relevant and useful to them. But it is not sufficient. Why? Information must be deemed relevant to its recipient in the sense that it is both salient and meaningful. It should be meaningful, and it should be summarized version, repackaged version. Individuals must have both the power and incentives to act on the information. The who are receiving the information, they should have the power and incentive. Power means the ability to activate and to use the information, and incentives to act on the information. The research findings show that this is insignificant impacts of information due to one of these factors. These three factors, in one of these three factors is present in the present day information service. That's why their impact is limited. Either relevance, power, or incentive is missing from the information service provided. And this has been done very empirically. 48 case studies have been taken. In that sense, what I want to communicate here is, if you are providing information, you are very happy. Yes, I have provided this is information to this gentleman. But it depends how that information is perceived by the person whom you are delivering. That is the most important thing. That's why in the Susan Higgins, in one of the articles in the library trends, he has written that providing excellent library service is not sufficient. It is very important what service you are providing, how it is received, how it is interpreted, and how it is rated by the recipient. That is the most important factor in a library. It is not that you are happy that you have provided a very good infrastructure, very good books, but how that entire gamut of service, the infrastructure, is perceived by the recipient is more important. So this is one of the interpretation I want to give here. Now, public libraries must try to understand how information might help improve service delivery in rural areas. It is a critical question for poverty reduction and economic development, because these days, if you see the municipalities and the local governance institution, most of their service delivery system has been provided online. If you want to get a ration card, if you want to get your Aadhaar card made, everything has been done now online. So unless you are proficient in dealing with the online delivery of services, you cannot operate that. In that case, public libraries can provide bridge the gap between the service delivery system and the people who want to get that service. This is very important thing. Now, one thing is very important. Now, many of our friends who are young, they say, now we are in a digital world. They always try to emphasize that there is a digital collections are very important, and print version is not that important these days. But a permanent cultural shift can be noticed in favor of a digital world, a society which is becoming increasingly urban and financially well off. If you are financially well off, you are a member of the urban society, this shift is okay, and you view it. If maybe the engineering college students like IITs and NITs, they prefer the digital collection, the digital books, everything. But if you go to the ground level, I mean, and the senior citizens, they still prefer the print version of the books and the print version of the library service delivery. So this is very important in the sense because an American library journal, which is published from America, a survey has been conducted where the students have said that we need print books, not the digital books. The print books are more convenient to read. You can read at your home. You can read at the time of when we sleep in the night, and somehow the survey has revealed that print version is not dead yet. Maybe after 20 years it may disappear, but at present the print books are more important, particularly in case of public libraries. And what sort of print books? The local language, local language and local demand-based book. What are the people want to read? Now the internet also, the 2017 report of the internet trend report says that 27% of the Indians are using internet compared to only 9% in 2009. Evidence in policy making and discrimination, timely generation of robust data at all level of governance should be a prerequisite for collecting data for new measurable parameters using latest technology. Whatever service you want to provide to the people, it may be from the public library, it may be from the academic library, it may be online dissemination of intellectual output like webinar or seminar. Everything should be done on the basis of a robust evidence-based policy making. Evidence means on the basis of what is happening on the ground level. You capture the data and you just re-engineer the data and put it in a way so that your programs and policies can be remodeled and redelivered. Next, please. Next one, please. Next one. Sorry. Now, new education policy. Many of my friends said that there is nothing about libraries in the new education policy. So I thought I should read it properly. So new education policy 2020. There are few things which direct us for the development of libraries as a supplementary education infrastructure from the classroom teaching or from the online teaching, whatever it is, because of the following preference which the government is now trying to emphasize. This policy document has stressed that good collection of books and development of library in schools can provide opportunity to younger generation, and there is the major points as regards curriculum and pedagogy in schools. Learning should be holistic, integrated, enjoyable, and engaging. Less content, more towards learning about how to think critically and solve problems and how to be creative and multidisciplinary. Next, please. School libraries are to be set up particularly in villages to serve the community during the non-school hours. Book clubs may meet in public school libraries to further facilitate and promote widespread reading. promotion of Indian language, art, and culture. So these are the major recommendations made in the new education policies. And India's cultural and linguistic diversity can be maintained and promoted through public libraries. This is very important because India is the only country where there is so many languages and so many literature, so many books published in so many languages. And to sustain that diversity, I think the public library could be the best solution. Public library in every village or in every subdivision, there should be 3-4 public libraries, and it should be organized in a way so that it can function properly, not the present one, which is only number based. Yes, we have public libraries. Whether it is functioning in a proper way or not, it is not the government is not considering that. Next one, please. Now, some sort of out-of-box thinking is required in this, which many government, I am not saying about any particular government, do not encourage any out-of-box thinking. The year 2000, Albert Einstein had said, we cannot solve our problems with the same level of thinking that created them. The reasons which created the problem cannot solve them. So you have to think something else. The year 2021 demands that we introspect about the old thinking that plunged the world into worst public health and economic collapse since the Spanish flu of 1918 and the Great Depression of 1929, which was dealt by American President Roosevelt with the help of our great economist John Maynard Keynes. So that you have to invent, look for new solutions to these problems. Seeing the health crisis as part and parcel of a wide ecological crisis is an important reminder for us to transform and change. So this was an ecological crisis because many people say that why this happened, this virus, why the virus came. People say it is an ecological crisis because in a mad rush for concretization, concrete roads, concrete buildings, and manufacturing units, and carbon emission, you are consuming a lot of coal. You forgot about the environment. So environment induced danger was this virus. This virus came, and it came from, I think, bat or something. I do not know exactly because I'm not a scientist. The only scientist can tell you. But it is the result of an ecological crisis. And our most very well-known novelist, who was my contemporary in Delhi University, Amitabh Ghosh, has written a book on this subject. He says this ecological crisis, no prominent author writes on it. If the people, the more popular writers, public intellectuals debate and write about this ecological crisis, I think the public opinion against the ecological crisis can happen in the future. Next one, please. Now, my concluding remarks is, for much needed small and smart public libraries, a well-designed framework for new services and programs with outcome statement is to be prepared by the library management. You know what is outcome budget? Now the government is emphasizing outcome budget for the past 3-4 years. They say you discard all your present plans and programs, discuss all of them, and you prepare them fresh and give us what is your input and what will be the outcome of that. We are not concerned with what you have done in the past. This is a very drastic step, and not many ministries or the departments are able to do that. But this is the recommendation of the government, and as you know, the Niti Aayog, National Institution of Transformation of India, that is the NITI acronym. They are the now think tank of the government of India, and they have published a book called Strategy at the Rate 75. What would be the strategy in the after 75 years of independence, that they have tried to highlight. Here they have specifically mentioned that literacy, education infrastructure, and entrepreneurship, these three are intricately intertwined. That means they are three interdependent things. If three things are interdependent, that I think they have not mentioned about library. As I told you, the library has a very low level of recognition in any public policy making body. So they have not specifically meant library, but library can be a part of that. And if you see the socio-economic indicators, now the government, you may not be knowing this because I am telling you because I have read about that. Now, with the Millennium Development Goals of the United Nations, the government has received an advisory or a directive from the United Nations. You prepare your Millennium Development Goals parameters, how you measure them. So every ministry, every department has prepared some, but in the field of culture, they are yet to prepare anything. So that shows how that is secondary treatment is given to the not only to the library, the entire field of culture. And as I told you, when you prepare any, I have not said, I think, this particular point. See, when you conduct a survey or say decennial census, that is every 10 years a census is done, okay? Now it is 2021, it was not held. 2022, hopefully it will be held, or 2021 end it will be started. Before that, there is a data users conference. You know what is data users conference? Every ministry take parts in that and try to put their requirement, what they need. But the Ministry of Culture has never attended any data users conference because they don't think it is essential. So the need for any library related statistical data have not been realized by any data collecting agency. This is one of the reason. And what I am saying, that census, if you town and village directory, there is a 4-line definition of library that has happened due to in 2010 precisely, a letter was written by the Ministry of Culture that you should try to collect data about the presence of library in a village, in the village directory, and that data has been now taken up in 2011. This is a small annexure to the entire primary census abstract table, whether a library exists in a village or not. This is a very small thing. But to collect proper library data that we have mentioned in one of the reports, you have to have the stakeholder consultation, peer group interview with the public intellectuals, interview of the local students, local teachers. Then only you can prepare some sort of convincing grant proposal for the development of library. And the IFLA has repeatedly said in the Library Map of the World project that if you don't know how many libraries and in what state these libraries exist in the world, you cannot prepare a development plan. And development planners also say to prepare a convincing grant proposal. If you want to take a grant from, say, from ONGC, which has a lot of money in the corporate social, they would need some data. Yes, your region, there are only 4 libraries. They are in this stage. The number of books is not correct, whatever it is. So that part is missing. And I think that, of course, I was also in Ministry of Culture. And there are many people who are in Ministry of Culture. But in a government, the decision-making mechanism goes in a different way. It is very difficult to convince them or to make them think in a different direction. And they try to go in the traditional way. And if you go in a traditional way, I think you cannot achieve much. But still, I think we should not be thinking that everything is lost. I think that is a very negative aspect of any development proposal, we should try to think over, and the library associations have a greater role to play in this direction. And association have to unitedly they have to struggle for this. And many assurances which are made in the Fourth Pay Commission report, they are still pending. There are many pending assurances in the parliament also regarding libraries. If they can be taken up one by the ministry, then I think a lot of things can be done. Thank you very much. But I would like to emphasize here, don't leave everything to the government, because government has many works to do. So library is a very insignificant part. I think that if you can mobilize the people, and as I have seen that in Bengal, the people are very quite accustomed to mobilize and to go for a procession or a protest march. But mobilization of people for the development of the library sector is a different game altogether. But I believe something can be done. With these few words, thank you very much. I think I have spoken for how many? At least for 50 minutes. So thank you for your attention, and thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Sir, please unmute, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Goswami. Since it is a memorial lecture, I don't think there is much scope for discussion, etc. But I still feel that there are very senior people here who may have give some of the observations in 1-2 minutes, so that we can also learn from them about this particular topic. It was very vital topic. So, Professor Lakar, anything you have to say?
Please unmute.
Unmute. You unmute. We are unable to hear.
Dr. Goswami has done a very good research on the topic he has been assigned. My point is regarding data collection. I'm yet to know, because when National Mission for Libraries was started in Delhi, the main project was, one of the condition was that to collect the data. So they have initiated a program. Of course, very right, I don't give everything to government, but it is a vital question I am in search of. That what is the present situation, we do not know, but in spite of my best to know from NLM, they say that it is still continuing, some appointments are also made, but data collection, even project is also not known to the people about by National Mission for Libraries. So that is number one. Number two, that is I'll not talk much more. Number two is, actually 2005, the National Knowledge Commission has observed very pertinent point on the public libraries. They have recommendation also. In some Patrioda was the chairman. But the follow result, I have not seen at all from any side. That what are the set of those conditions, those recommendations made by Library Committee of NKC. So these are the two vital questions that information I am yet to know, which are the force bearer of public library development in India. That is what my feeling is.
Dr. Goswami, anything you have to say about this? About the points.
A very, very pertinent point. So I would like to briefly, I would mention the National Mission on Libraries. There are four major tasks they have to undertake. One is to conduct a survey of the public libraries. And this work was assigned to IMRB, Indian Market Research Bureau. And they had collected data from the 5,000 public libraries, 7,000 users, and 2,000 non-users. But what I am saying, because the way it was conducted, because I have read the entire report, it's a 254 pages report, because of some reason I had to read it, that I will tell you later, because it is a confidential thing. But what I can tell you, that that type of survey, it has a very limited purpose. You cannot count the number of libraries through a survey. It is a survey only, and survey is not a census. It is a census survey in the sense they have counted all the district libraries and all the state libraries, but the below district level libraries are the huge number of libraries. So that they could not count. So it is not a. It was a survey, and the survey results. The main results that are given can be easily interpreted, anticipated by a group of learned public library users or library school teachers. They can always anticipate. So I find there is no need to conduct such a huge survey to get the results which are anticipated in nature. One could anticipate. Number one. Number two, in the case of the special survey, because this is a special survey. In special survey, the survey sample size is not important. Your intent is more important. And how you fulfill that intent is more important, in the sense, if you collect data from 100 libraries and 5,000 libraries, the results will be almost the same. You understand? That is called saturation point in the statistical method. It is called saturation point. So in that case, I told in my lecture in the last page, they should have conducted a focus group interview the public intellectuals, interview the school teachers, interview the students, and the interview the active users of the library, and a survey of the present collection of the library. That was more important. That was not done. So that I according to my viewpoint, because I am not the only person to decide about that, that survey result done by the IMRB is of a very limited use. So it was recommended that they should conduct some follow-up survey to get into the insight of the public library system, what is happening in the public library system. And I think the second point, can you tell me once again, because second point wanted to know.
Talking about National Knowledge Commission's recommendation on libraries. In 2005, NKC has very rightly decided some of the recommendation for the development of public libraries. So we are not aware about follow-up action about this one.
See, National Knowledge Commission had made, there is a working group, not National Knowledge Commission. National Knowledge Commission has constituted a working group, and they have given many recommendations. One of them was the development of the public libraries, and their recommendations are very elaborate. I don't remember at present because I don't have the papers with me. But two things they had taken from that recommendation. One is the public library survey. Second one is the establishment of modern public libraries in the different parts of India. That progress is very slow due to the reason that the state government, education department, or where the Library Act is there, the library department, are very slow in reacting to the proposal sent to the Ministry of Culture. That was the main reason why progress has been slow. And what will happen in the future, it will all depend on the Ministry of Culture, whether they are going to continue with the mission or they are going to stop it. If they continue the mission, in what form they want to continue, these things they have to decide. But problem is there is a very frequent change of headship in the Ministry of Culture. So today there is one joint secretary, will leave for 1 year. Again, another person will come, you try to understand. By the time he understands, he will leave, then another person will come. So these are some of the bureaucratic problems that the library sector is facing. But RRLF has a very, 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 very prominent role to play. If they take these things very seriously and they can convince the Ministry of Culture, a lot of things can be done. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Professor Majumdar, if you have any points to raise, any observation? Please unmute. We are unable to hear. Please unmute. You are unable to hear. Please unmute yourself.
So I have not any question because it is memorial lecture.
Okay.
So in memorial lecture, traditionally we are not asking any.
Not done. Right.
But we are, it is today we are seeing that a young generation, actually young generation, is not coming to the public library. Actually, you see, in our state, not only in our state, but many states in India, they are not using the public library, even in academic libraries also. So, how it is possible for us through these sectors of users? How it is possible for us to attract them to?
I think some points he has already raised about it. To change
Yes.
the functioning of public libraries, he has already mentioned.
It is the functioning of public libraries. So, how it is possible for the association? Indian Library Association, IAS League, and any state association, they can come together and they can say to the government, state government as well as central government for taking development programs. But National Knowledge Commission, output of that National Mission of Libraries, but we are not seeing any development like that. But our Dr. Goswami sir rightly saying that RRLF can do something. RRLF can do something, and also the State Library Association can do something. If not, and also the library science departments of different states, if not come together. So I think the future of public library is not, it will not be good one. Thank you, sir.
So before I conclude, I would like to ask Professor Banerjee if you have something to say. Professor Banerjee, you are a very senior member. If you have any observation to make,
Sir, please unmute.
please unmute. We are unable to hear. Please unmute. We are unable to hear you. Please unmute yourself. We are unable to hear. We are unable to hear you, Professor Banerjee. You have to unmute yourself, otherwise, whatever you are saying, we are not getting. No sound from your side. Please unmute yourself. Unmute first. Then speak.
Sir, please click mic button.
Press the mic button. No, we are unable to hear. Sorry, we are unable to hear you.
Sir, there is 3 button. Third one is mic button from left. Please click on mic button.
No, he is unable to say.
I think
He will.
problem.
Nothing you can hear.
Yes, sir. Please, sir, continue.
So I think let us conclude. Now, before I conclude, I have a few things I want to say. Now, Professor Dr. Goswami has very pertinently pointed out the various reasons behind the need for having more public libraries. First thing, he said that there is no data as to how many public libraries we have, and that is a very big hurdle for us. But I found that the Ministry of Culture, Government of India, in its website says that we have over 54,856 public libraries in the country. So if it is so, and I found from one newspaper report, it is more than 70,000. Even if that figure is taken, if you compare it with our population, 134 crore population, is very less. So there is no doubt that we require more libraries. There is no doubt about it. But the thing is that, as Professor Majumdar has pointed out, people are not coming to the library. The most biggest challenge for public libraries is the say lessening of footfalls. People are not coming to the library. If you open libraries and people do not come, what is the fun in opening the libraries? So we must be able to strengthen the existing libraries first, so that more people can come there, and then we think of expanding and having more libraries. And for doing that, Dr. Goswami has given some hints. He said we must have small and smart and small libraries. Not a very big library. It should be small and smart, and it should serve as a reading space for youth. It should serve as skill development center, and it should be able to give online service delivery. If these things can be done, possibly the libraries which are having less footfalls, they may get more footfalls. People may come more to the library, and once the people come to the library, they will understand why they require library, the need for library, and then there will be mass demand for having more libraries, and possibly then we will be able to have more and more libraries, public libraries in the country. I am very thankful to Dr. Goswami for giving a very interesting picture. Many things we did not know because he was in the government, and he could give the picture, the hurdles behind the development of public libraries. So thank you again, and I now hand over to the person who is going to give the formal vote of thanks. Bonasri. Bonasri, you are required to give the final vote of thanks.
Madam, please unmute. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Respected President of IAS League, Vice Presidents of IAS League, General Secretary, other Joint Secretaries, EC and GB members and others, we express our heartfelt thanks to Dr. P.R. Goswami, sir, former Director, Library and Information, Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts, for accepting our invitation and delivering the 24th IAS League Ranganathan Memorial Lecture on why do we need more public libraries in India. We have been enriched by his speech, while he has raised very pertinent points towards the need of public libraries in India. He has pointed out the views of policymakers. He has also prescribed many activities to promote public library services. He has also suggested some innovative services. I hope IAS League will take those points into account for his future activities. I also express our heartfelt thanks to Professor Amitabh Chatterjee sir, editor of our IAS League newsletters, for presiding this session and summarizing. We express our heartfelt thanks to all audience for their active participation. Thank you again. Thanks to all. Thank you, sir.